Training your chatbot to find the right answers involves several steps, including collecting and pre-processing training data, fine-tuning the language model, and evaluating the performance of the chatbot. Here is an overview of the process. Collecting data. The first step in training your chatbot is to collect a dataset of conversational exchanges that are relevant to the task you are trying to accomplish. For example, if you are building a chatbot to answer questions about a specific topic, you will want to collect a dataset of questions and corresponding answers. Pre-processing data. Once you have collected your dataset, you will need to pre-process the data to prepare it for training. This typically includes cleaning and formatting the data, and splitting it into training, validation, and test sets. Fine-tuning the language model. You will then fine-tune the language model on the pre-processed data. This involves training the model on the conversational exchanges in your dataset, with the goal of improving its ability to understand the meaning and intent behind text, and to generate relevant and accurate responses. Evaluating the performance. After fine-tuning the model, you should evaluate its performance on the validation and test sets to get an understanding of how well it is able to answer questions. You can use metrics like accuracy, F1 score, or blue score to evaluate the performance of the chatbot. Iterate. Based on the results of the evaluation, you can iterate on the process of collecting more data, fine-tuning the model, or even change the architecture. Also, you can consider adding more conversational skills to the chatbot, such as the ability to handle follow-up questions, or to understand and respond to user sentiment. Deployment. After you are satisfied with the performance of the model, you can deploy the chatbot on a platform or service where users can interact with it. It's worth to note that the process of fine-tuning a language model such as chatgpt can be computationally expensive, and it might require powerful GPUs, or you can use OpenAI's GPT-3 API or similar services that provide access to pre-trained models. Additionally, it's important to keep in mind that chatbots are a specific type of conversational agents. If you want to improve the performance of the chatbot, you can also consider other conversational agents architectures like rule-based, memory-based, or even more complex architectures like attention-based models. One way to improve the performance of a chatbot is to add relevant keywords to the training data. This can help the model to better understand the context of the conversation and to generate more relevant and accurate responses. Here are some steps you can take to add relevant keywords to the training data. Identify keywords. The first step is to identify the relevant keywords for the task. These could be domain-specific terms, common user queries, or even entities that are related to the domain. Annotate data. Once you have identified the relevant keywords, you can annotate the training data by adding the keywords to the appropriate conversational exchanges. For example, you can add keywords as tags to the questions or add them as entities to be identified in the text. Fine-tune the model. You will then fine-tune the language model on the annotated data. The model will learn to pay attention to the keywords and to generate more relevant responses. Evaluate performance. After fine-tuning the model, you should evaluate its performance on the validation and test sets to see if the addition of keywords has improved the performance of the chatbot. Monitor and iterate. After deploying the chatbot, you should monitor its performance and gather feedback from users. Based on the feedback and performance data, you can iterate on the process by identifying new keywords, annotating the data, and fine-tuning the model again. It's important to keep in mind that keywords alone might not be enough to improve the performance of the chatbot, but they could be a good start. Also, other techniques like providing more data, fine-tuning the model with specific data, or even using a more complex model could also help to improve the performance of the chatbot. Testing your chatbot is an important step in the development process, as it allows you to evaluate its performance and identify any issues before deploying it to users. Here are some steps you can take to test your chatbot. Define test cases. Before testing, you should define a set of test cases that cover a wide range of scenarios and edge cases. This includes creating a list of questions that the chatbot should be able to answer, as well as a list of input that the chatbot should not be able to handle. Prepare test data. Once you have defined your test cases, you should prepare a set of test data that includes conversational exchanges that correspond to each test case. Test the chatbot. Run the test data through the chatbot and check its responses against the expected output. You can use metrics such as accuracy or F1 score to evaluate the performance of the chatbot. Test with real users. It's a good idea to test the chatbot with real users to get an understanding of how well it performs in a real-world setting. You can do this by recruiting test users or by doing a limited release of the chatbot. Monitor performance. After deploying the chatbot, you should monitor its performance and gather feedback from users. This will help you to identify any issues and to improve the chatbot over time. Iterate the testing process, updating the test cases and the test data, to make sure that the chatbot is working correctly and that it is providing the expected level of performance. It's worth noting that even though you've put a lot of effort into testing the chatbot, it's still possible that it may encounter unseen scenarios and fail to respond correctly. However, by testing the chatbot extensively, you can minimize the chances of this happening, and also have a better understanding of the chatbot's limitations and how to address them. There are a few different ways to track customer conversations when using the ChatGPT language model, depending on the specific use case and the environment in which it is being deployed. Here are a few examples. In a live chat application, you can use a unique identifier for each customer conversation and store it along with the conversation logs. This way, you can easily retrieve and analyze the conversation later on. If you are using ChatGPT in a customer service setting, you can keep track of the customer's name and account number, and store that information along with the conversation logs. This can help you identify which customer the conversation was with, and pull up their account information as needed. If the chatbot is used in a customer care setting, you can track the customer by a unique customer ID that is already available to you through the chat platform, or you can ask the customer to give a unique customer ID while starting the conversation. In a conversational interface, you can use session tracking to keep track of customer interactions. The session ID can be stored as a cookie or passed as a query parameter in the URL, and can be used to retrieve the conversation later on. Regardless of the method used, it is important to ensure that all data is collected, stored, and processed in compliance with relevant data privacy laws and regulations. It's also important to take the security into consideration. There are several common questions people may have when working with ChatGPT, such as: how do I fine-tune ChatGPT for a specific task? Fine-tuning ChatGPT involves training the model on a dataset of conversational exchanges that are relevant to the task you are trying to accomplish. This can be done by using a pre-trained ChatGPT model and training it on your dataset, adjusting the hyperparameters and other settings to optimize performance. How can I control the generation of text from ChatGPT? There are different ways to control the generation of text from ChatGPT, such as controlling the temperature of the generated text, the max length of the generated text, the token count, the use of a completion prompt, or the use of specific parameters like top_p and top_k to adjust the level of specificity or token sampling. How do I evaluate the performance of my ChatGPT-powered chatbot? You can evaluate the performance of your ChatGPT-powered chatbot using different metrics such as accuracy, F1 score, or Blue score. Additionally, you can test the chatbot with real users to get an understanding of how well it performs in a real-world setting. How can I improve the performance of my ChatGPT-powered chatbot? There are different ways to improve the performance of a ChatGPT-powered chatbot, such as providing more data, fine-tuning the model with specific data, or using a more complex model. Additionally, you can add relevant keywords to the training data, monitor the performance of the chatbot, and gather feedback from users to iterate on the process. Can ChatGPT understand and generate multiple languages? ChatGPT is a pre-trained model on an English corpus, but fine-tuning with a different language dataset can make it able to generate and understand text in multiple languages. OpenAI also has models like GPT-3 Multilingual, which can handle multiple languages out of the box. These are just a few examples of the common questions people may have when working with ChatGPT, but there can be many other questions that may arise depending on the specific task or use case. In conclusion, ChatGPT is a powerful language model that is fine-tuned for conversational language understanding and generation tasks. It is capable of generating human-like text and understanding the meaning and intent behind text, making it well-suited for tasks such as chatbot dialogues, question answering, and text classification. To use ChatGPT, you typically need to register with the organization or platform that provides access to the model, such as OpenAI, and configure the settings of the model. Training a chatbot using ChatGPT involves several steps, including collecting and pre-processing training data, fine-tuning the language model, and evaluating the performance of the chatbot. It also could require to add relevant keywords to the training data and iterate on the process by monitoring the performance of the chatbot and gather feedback from users. Finally, it's important to thoroughly test the chatbot before deploying it to users and continue to monitor its performance to identify any issues and to improve the chatbot over time. Keep in mind that Chat, as well as other GPT models, is a powerful tool, but it's not a silver bullet. It could fail in certain scenarios. It's important to understand the limits and the potential of the model and use it accordingly.